The U.S. Supreme Court says South Carolina can move forward with its efforts to defund abortion providers like Planned Parenthood.
The court's ruling just came down today in the Medina versus Planned Parenthood case that the court heard earlier this year. Our State House reporter Mary Green explains what this decision means and what's at stake for South Carolinians.
This case started with a 2018 executive order Governor Henry McMaster issued prohibiting abortion providers from participating in South Carolina's Medicaid program for non-abortion services. 7 years later, the nation's highest court says South Carolina can now enforce this order. It hasn't been in effect because of a pending lawsuit brought by Planned Parenthood South Atlantic and one of its patients. At the center of this case was the question of whether Medicaid recipients can sue, as one did in this case, to select the qualified provider they want. In a 6-3 decision with all 6 conservative justices in the majority, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled they cannot, clearing the way for South Carolina to enforce its policy. In a statement, Governor Henry McMaster said in part, quote, 7 years ago, we took a stand to protect the sanctity of life and defend South Carolina's authority and values, and today we are finally victorious.
Now, instead of patients deciding where to get care, that power lies with the state.
Planned Parenthood operates 2 South Carolina clinics in Charleston and Columbia and says this ruling will cut off lower-income South Carolinians' access to services like cancer screenings, birth control, and STI testing. This decision also impacts an abortion clinic in Greenville that is not run by Planned Parenthood, along with those organizations' telehealth services. This does not apply to abortion services, which are already barred from receiving federal funds like Medicaid reimbursements.
We are continuing to explore all of our options to keep our doors open to all patients, including those with Medicaid coverage. We will never back down, and we will continue to fight.
For now, this ruling only impacts South Carolina, though Planned Parenthood says it does open the door for other states to take similar action. This decision also is not in effect immediately, pending lower court action, and it's unclear when exactly it'll go into effect. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
And since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022, a number of significant abortion-related cases have come up in South Carolina.
Early the next year, the state Supreme Court struck down the version of the fetal heartbeat law that banned abortions after about 6 weeks into a pregnancy, finding that it violated the state constitution. After that, Republican lawmakers made some slight tweaks to the previous legislation and then enacted a second heartbeat law. Then in August of 2023, the all-male state Supreme Court upheld this new version of the law, which is now in effect across South Carolina.
Then the state court took up a challenge to when exactly this law is enforced. Last month, it sided with the state's argument that the fetal heartbeat law should be enforced at about 6 weeks into a pregnancy before many women know they're pregnant. That leads us to today's decision, which does not directly deal with abortion care, but is targeted specifically at South Carolina's abortion providers.